Okay, so last time we left off right here. We did this problem. It was missing the hypotenuse, so we had to use the Pythagorean theorem here to figure out what that was. And we ended up solving and getting 12 for the hypotenuse. And then we wrote down what sine, cosine, and tangent were, making sure they were reduced. So our answers right here. And then we had to do the reciprocal trig functions. So reciprocal of sine is cosecant. We flipped that around, but then we had a radical in the denominator, so we had to rationalize that. And so we ended up with 2 root 3 over 3. Secant was a little bit easier. That's the reciprocal of cosine. Flipping around 1/2, we get just 2. And then tangent, the reciprocal is cotangent. If I flip around square root of 3, I get 1 root 3. I had to rationalize the denominator again. And so then I did that, and we got square root of 3 over 3. Those are exact values. When you're talking about exact, you should make sure you're using simplest radical form. And that was pretty much it. Okay, so now how do we find the value of x? How do we find a side? Let's say we know an angle, but we're missing a side. Okay, well, in this case, I really have two sides that I'm given, and I have an angle. The angle is 30 degrees. Well, these are the two sides, so I want to find the ratio, the trig function that compares those two sides. So I have, let's see, from 30 degrees, this would be the opposite side, and this is the hypotenuse. Okay, so that means I'm going to use sine of the angle, which in this case we no longer have a theta. Now we know what it is. It's 30 degrees. That's going to be equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So in this case, opposite is x over the hypotenuse, which is 74. Okay, so now I really just want to solve this. And so I want to get the x by itself. In order to do that, that means I'm going to have to multiply both sides. I'm going to change colors here. Multiply both sides by 74. What that will do on the right, we'll cancel those out. Multiply by 74 over here. Okay, so these would cancel out. And I really am left with 74 times sine of, I have some stuff disappearing. Sine of 30 degrees equals x. Okay, so I'm going to use my calculator now to figure out what that is. Here's an important note. On your calculator, you want to press mode. Let's bring it up again. Okay, if you press mode, notice you want this to be in degrees. So the third line down, this is a little tricky to see, but third line down, on mine it's the fourth line down, I guess. You just want this highlighted in, it says radian, you want the degree, so you're going to highlight degree and press enter. Don't forget to do that or all your answers will be wrong. So that's really important. So now I'm going to quit out of here just by going second mode. Okay, so now you're going to type in what we have. Make sure your calculator's in degrees before you start your assignment. So now I'm going to just type in 74 times sine of 30. Okay, so 74 times. Sine is right there above the, couple buttons above the 7. Sine of 30 degrees. We have it in degrees now, so that would represent degrees. And I'm going to press enter. In this case, I actually get a nice number. A lot of times you're going to get a decimal. In that case, we'll round it to the nearest tenth. But here we have 37 even. So x is 37. So that means this side is 37 units long. Now notice they don't tell us units, so we can just leave it as 37. If they give you inches or something like that, make sure you put your units on there. Okay, cool. I hope that makes sense. There's one thing that I did want to make a note of. A lot of times, let's just say you set up your problem. Let's say you just have, this is not related to this right here. I'm just going to make up something. Cosine of 50 degrees is equal to 12 over x. Let's say x is in the denominator. Okay, if x is in the denominator, I'm going to slide this over just a little bit, then you first need to get that out of there first. So you want to go multiply by x, multiply by x. These will cancel then, and then you're going to have x times cosine of 50 degrees equals 12. Okay, and then you're going to want to solve for x. So you want to get rid of this. So you're going to divide, I should draw that all the way across, there we go, divide by cosine of 50 degrees on both sides. Okay, these cancel, so x is equal to whatever this is. So if x is in the denominator, that's what you got to do first. So then I would type that into my calculator. So 12 divided by cosine of 50. My calculator's in degrees, so we're good. I'd go 12 divided by cosine of 50 degrees. And I'd put nearest tenth, I'd say 18.7. So that's what you do if the x is in the denominator. That's how you would deal with that. Okay. Again, that wasn't necessarily related to this problem. It's just when you see x in the denominator, that's how you handle it. When you are setting up solving for x, just make sure you figure out which trig function relates the two sides the best. Okay, whether it's sine, cosine, or tangent. Okay. All right, what is an angle of elevation, an angle of depression? Well, really, when we're talking about angle of elevation, you first want to find the horizontal. So what do we mean by the horizontal? Here's your horizontal line from this person's horizontal line. Now, if you're trying to find the line of sight, in this case, in order to look to the top of this lighthouse, you would have to look up. This person would have to look up. So that's called an angle of elevation, elevate up, okay? So the person would have to go up from the horizontal, okay? If it's down from the horizontal, so here's horizontal, and you're looking down from the horizontal, then it's angle of depression, okay? So this person looks down at the swimmer, and that would be down from the horizontal. So that's kind of the key thing. Now, a lot of times you're going to make sure you want to draw a triangle, but they might tell you the height right here. Let's say the height is 8, and then that means that this is 8 over here. So it's easier going to draw this as your triangle right here, not over here. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense, but you'll see when we talk about different problems how that works. Okay, so here's a word problem. It says a biologist whose eye level is 6 feet above the ground measures the angle of elevation to the top of a tree to be 38.7 degrees. If the biologist is standing 180 feet from the tree's base, what is the height of the tree? Okay, so you want to draw yourself a picture about what's really happening. Just going to make myself a pine tree. Okay, so something like that. Now, here's the ground, let's say. Okay, and the biologist is standing right here. Okay, now, the biologist is 6 feet above the ground. That's their eye level. So horizontally across, right? Let's just say that's horizontal. Okay. And they have to look up to see the top of the tree. So the top of the tree right here. Okay. And then That forms my triangle. Now, this distance from the eye level to the ground is 6 feet, so I'm going to have to take that into account later. But this gives me my right triangle. Now, I'm going to put a couple of different things. It says angle of elevation. So again, that was this biologist had to look up from the horizontal. That was 38.7 degrees. Okay. If the biologist is standing 180 feet from the base of the tree, so this distance from the person to the base of the tree is 180 feet. What is the height of the tree? Okay, now when we find this height, that's only going to be from here to here. So I'm going to have to add 6 feet after that, but we'll find x first and then add 6 feet. Okay, so now which trig function would relate this side and this side? So let's see, I've got, this is my opposite side, this is my adjacent side, so I want to use tangent. Okay, so I have tangent of 38.7 degrees is equal to opposite over adjacent. Okay, cool. So now I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to multiply by 180 on both sides. Okay, these would cancel. And x is going to be equal to this. So I just want to type that into my calculator. 180 times tangent of 38.7. Oh. Struggle. 180 times tangent of 38.7 degrees is already... So I get, let's see, to the nearest tenth would be 144.2. Okay, now I have to add 6 feet. So 144.2 plus 6, because I have this distance here, that's 6 feet above the ground still, to give me the total height of the tree. So this would be 150.2 feet is the height of that tree. Okay. And it's going to be more practical to use trig here rather than trying to climb to the top of the tree and bring a tape measure down. That's not very practical. So this is called indirect measurement, and it's going to be the best way to roll in this particular case. All right, that's right angle trig. Okay, there's your assignment. Write it into your planner, and then when you turn it in, check it off. Make sure you're good with this. We're going to be doing a lot of trig for the rest of the year, so make sure that this makes sense.